Ciao! Welcome back to the ISSIMI YouTube channel. My name is Lorenzo, and this is a Himalaya D110. Probably never heard of either of us before. Let's go driving.
That is fucking terrifying. That is so scary.
That is a Land Rover Defender 110 by Himalaya. Costing in excess of $300,000 to build, it's everything you love about a classic Land Rover, just more of it. A lot more. Thanks to its well-earned go-anywhere credibility, the Land Rover Defender sits atop the classic SUV hierarchy. Produced through 2016, the Defender isn't all that different from the original Land Rover, which debuted 67 years earlier. The South Carolina company Himalaya heard the critiques of Defender buyers and set out to build a better truck, offering improved performance both on and off-road while still paying homage to that first Land Rover in 1948. While retaining the classic shape, nearly every aspect of this 110 has been strengthened, refined, and improved to create a truly one-of-a-kind Defender. First, it might help to give some context. Himalaya produces two lines of Land Rovers. The first takes nice examples of Defender 90s and 110s from left-hand drive markets and strips them down, doing a frame-off restoration with some modern conveniences. The other takes Defenders and completely re-engineers them to make these trucks perform, look, and feel better while also allowing for far greater customization. Everything from the engine, axles, wheels, and tires to the billet aluminum key and the custom interior receives hands-on attention from the company's craftsmen. This Himalaya is the second type. All that sounds fine and dandy, but what exactly makes it so interesting? Well, first off, this example was built as a tribute to the first ever Land Rover off the line in 1948. It's known by its registration number HUE166. It's finished in Grashmere green, a modern take on the first Land Rover's paint color, only this one has a bit of metallic flake for added flair. It's quite evident that the second you drive this car, it hasn't lost its mid-century vibe. It still drives how you would expect a Land Rover of this age to drive, but with some of its rough edges smoothed out. Driving an original Defender is more like operating a piece of agricultural machinery. In the 90s, every control point vibrates and comes to life when the engine turns on. The shifter shakes like crazy, the brakes occasionally squeal, the steering is vague at best, and you have no idea where you are in the RPM range since there is no tachometer. The Himalaya, on the other hand, has an automatic transmission, plenty of stopping power at any and all speeds, assisted steering for easy maneuvering, and yes, definitely a tachometer. The tires are hugely different as well, leaving the originals looking like pizza cutters. The Himalaya is equipped with a square setup 275 by 65 section BF Goodrich all-terrains, while the 90 is on 205 by 16 section Greenway Goodrides. Additionally, it has 4-link rear end with coilover suspension and upgraded Dynatrac Pro 60 HD axles for better on-road handling and off-road capability. The starkest difference between the two is obviously the engine. The 90 left the factory as a 2.5-liter inline-4, making a meek 107 horsepower and 195 pound-feet of torque. That was eventually replaced by 6.2 liters of American Fury, making more than 6 times the horsepower at 650 horsepower and 630 pound-feet of torque. Talk about a glow-up.
This engine completely transforms the car. To anyone who's ever driven a vintage Defender knows that they were never quick. So this stuff is truly hair-raising. Luckily, we brought along a vintage 90 to demonstrate just that.
Top of third, 70 kph. Blisteringly quick.
Himalaya claims to create drivable automotive artwork. And from looks alone, they certainly check that box. First thing you notice when you open the door is the automatic running boards folding out. It also has heated seats, a backup camera, Apple CarPlay, and Bluetooth connectivity. The sand-colored cloth on the seats and door handles echoes the color of the roof, while the Puma dash and gear lever are painted to match the iconic HUE 166 exterior color. Combined, these create a cohesive and simple aesthetic while still feeling hugely special. The Land Rover Discovery 3 instrument cluster is a nice OEM modern touch too. The fact is, nobody is buying a Defender for the luxurious interior appointments, although the updates are very welcome in the Himalaya. No, what draws you in is that classic look which is so uniquely Land Rover. The best part is, when placed next to this beautiful original example, it doesn't look outlandish. It's honestly a really unique option for someone who wants something other than a cliche G-Wagon, but also wants to maintain that vintage look. In town, it makes the driver feel invincible, and everyone else is but a simpleton. And of course, there's that mesmerizing startup noise, which is a clear indicator that this ain't your normal Land Rover. And the second best part is, both of these Defenders are currently available on ISSIMI's auction website.
First things first, this car is farm equipment. It is incredibly slow, but you know what? That adds so much to its charm. This thing, you don't want to go fast. You don't want to go carving around corners. It's just fun to putt around in. And you know what? The best part is that it's third gear is kind of hard to find. It's a true vintage car, whereas the Himalaya is hiding it with all this technology and a big V8. This is utter, pure, distilled Land Rover Defender, and I really, really like it.
The 90 is nothing short of delightful. Its overall personality and size transports you back to a simpler time when radios weren't necessary, nor heat and AC. I feel like a man driving this car because it takes everything you throw at it and won't let you down. The weak link is clearly the meat sack in the middle. By modern standards, it doesn't do anything well. It's terribly slow, it rattles, and finding the right gear is difficult at times. But none of that matters, since the 90 has the benefit of age, so all of those shortcomings become endearing quirks. I preferred the driving experience of the 90 overall because it has more personality. Its character is clearly defined and has been for generations. The Himalaya, on the other hand, is a bit of a head-scratcher. There are aspects I love and aspects I'm not too fond of. To start with the negatives, it makes too much power for the chassis. The LT4 in this package produces unusable real-world power. Hard accelerations in this truck are truly terrifying, as you probably saw earlier. The front picks up and the steering goes light for what feels like an insane bull ride. It lends itself to some Code Brown moments. But the part I'm struggling with is that people seem to love that. It's almost like the Tesla Plaid models with its launch control. You wouldn't ever use that feature on normal streets or normal conditions, but you better believe anytime you pick up a new passenger, they're going to ask you to give it the beans. Same with the Himalaya. It's a beautiful toy for the few who can afford to say, That G63 is too commonplace for me. On the positive side, this car is a standout in terms of road presence and rarity. It fills a niche I didn't know existed until now. The build quality makes this truck dailyable, which is a far cry from the original. The Land Rover Defender is one of the most iconic vehicles ever made. It earned its reputation by being the most rugged machines available. When enthusiasts eventually began to take an interest in these trucks, a new industry developed. I believe Himalaya hit the nail on the head with their intention. They managed to make the vehicle feel vintage but with a fun new personality. The 90 on the other hand is a peach and is a completely different flavor. Seems to me like the only solution is to buy both on ISSIMI.com.